Manga, manga. I don't know, however people say it. Manga a use has a unique um, view to it. I mean, reading manga is so much different than reading a book, or even a lot of picture books that are based off of cartoons and kind of are unique to themselves. And the fact stands that even children's books, as they'll normally be called, that are usually based off of cartoons, and the ones that aren't are strictly meant for children. Um, I mean, this is just most cases. This is just generally the case. It's kind of unfortunate, but it's true. Someone for me who's pretty visual and needs to. I have a really good imagination. I'm thankful for that, but if I didn't, I don't know where I'd be. Sorry, I'm trying to get a better lighting, I guess. But I don't know where I'd be without my imagination. Because when I read books, um, I gotta see what I'm looking at. I gotta see what I'm reading and visualize it. Manga does that in such a fluid way to me, and it's just great to read. Um, I'm mostly reading romance anime and romance manga and stuff like that, and it's always not. And I always have to defend this, so I'll probably make a video towards it. But when I say romance, it has even 1% romance. It's gonna be a conclusive romance, like I know it. Like it might take 300 episodes, aka Inuyasha, but I'll stay if it's gonna happen. But what I can't understand, upon reading manga is manga that are very strictly action based, like Naruto or I'll say Naruto because actually probably Naruto would be the better example. It's like jab, stab, bleeding. Like it's like, who would want to read that? I mean, that is just like I'd rather see that. Like it's not. I'm not making the argument that you can't do it or it's not engaging, but it's like, would you rather see that or read that? Just keep asking yourself that question, and I think eventually you'll answer you'd rather see that. So I've always stayed away from action manga. The only manga I kind of regret ever reading would be Naruto because of spoilers. Like, what I don't get though is like, why not just for giggles, release the manga and the anime towards the same amount of time, or don't make Boruto Next Generation when the manga is barely even. I mean, well, okay, technically, yeah, the manga finished, but did the anime finish? Did the sequel to this anime? No, no, don't say, oh, it's a sequel to the manga, because the sequel to the manga would be the Boruto manga. But that just really just burns me apart. And they also made more than that, they made I think it was Naruto the last one or something. It was the Hinata and him scarf story. And what was it? You haven't even finished the anime. What's wrong with you? Like, you know? Um, but it's just so frustrating. Um, so yeah, mangas in chapters, and I guess in volumes. And volumes really make up a set of chapters that usually consist of an arc. This is how I perceive it. I'm not saying this is how it is. I'm not a writer. I can't really define this stuff well enough or good enough to really be precise. But I'm trying to get a better angle. I know I'm just a floating head in the darkness, but still. Um, um, but there are like people who register certain chapters as arcs of their own. Um, and they don't really like give credit and say, oh, this is this volume, this volume, this volume, because because it doesn't really feel that way sometimes to people, and I guess to an extent I'd agree with that. But I don't know. I've never looked at like, okay, this volume and this volume, or you know, and try to separate them, um, because when you do that, you also have to know the numbers and the titles of the volume when those chapters started. So it's really kind of easier to say arc by arc, and sometimes a little bit of the last volume overflows into the next, and um, so sometimes it feels a lot more accurate to say arc. Anyways, my whatever description of what I ever think manga is besides that, there's an amount of translations available online, and things like that. Um, One of the things that you'll find as a manga reader, at least of the age of 2000 to 2016, maybe going forward it's not going to be as quite like that, but the Japanese will get it first and it'll be translated by a fan or by a professional or whatever. Um, and what I don't like is translations that kind of give your own opinion of what the intention was. It's almost worse as sub translations when it's a fan sub and they're like, well, I wanted them to say this versus this. So, it's difficult too because sometimes words are a bit longer, like font, like besides just the font itself, like the words. Even if you decrease the font, you can only decrease it so much, and you're putting in like a bubble of speech. And some words are just like they mean a phrase or sentence longer than they do in English, or the reverse for Japanese. And so when you got like a little bubble and you got like two words, I mean, I don't know. It's just I'm just speaking about the frustration about manga and in general. I mean, like translations. I don't know, some good things. um, I really love the art of manga. I mean, I have a lot of saved art and stuff, and I really get into manga. Um, Besides manga, there are Korean and Chinese manga, and probably other forms of manga across the world I haven't really discovered yet. But those are really good. Check those out. Just type in Chinese or Korean manga. Um, you know, I don't really you know, I haven't really checked out too many of them. I checked out more Korean manga than anything. Korean manga, it's not, well, I don't know if it's officially called this, but it's called Mawawawa or something. And emphasizes, to me, at least in the romance anime category, a lot of sexuality, uh, and really sexuality. It, I think they were like, okay, this is how we're gonna get them to read the manga, and it's getting me to read. I'll tell you what, boy. Um, and something manga, manga. So they don't really have a lot of tropes like the Japanese manga or anime do, where it's like open flip skirts and kind of shyness in general. And it's really aimed toward, well, I don't know if it's aimed toward, but the demographic, let's say, that's in the manga, those kind of Korean manga are like young adults to adults, versus like some manga which kind of stays below the range of age 20. In Korean manga, again, be something like 15 to 27. That demographic exists within those. Um, and you have people going to college and stuff like that. I think what it is maybe is based on some of the Korean manga that I read. It's it's like there's a bigger emphasis on school. There's I would say emphasis on school. That's incorrect. It feels like this is how it feels like to me. Um, that there's an emphasis on, like, okay, you go to school in elementary, middle, and high at school, and you have memories of individual grades, individual classes, whatever. With Korean, man, Korean, they basically skip elementary and middle, to whatever extent that they can. Generally, like it's like it just didn't happen. So really, you got your last couple years of high school, and then you're a senior in college, or they already have you. Like I don't even think this is like what I'm reading particularly. I think like this is how it is. Like there's a bigger emphasis on adulthood than childhood, and so childhood friends, things we used to do as a kid and things we're doing now. Like there's less of an emphasis on that. Like it's almost like the Korean government is in charge of you, man. It's like we want you to get your life going. We want you to understand where you're at right now or where you're gonna be, and this is how it's gonna be. I mean, it's I think it's something like that. I think there's something to what I just said. But yeah, like to re-illustrate it or whatever, using the wrong words, a bigger emphasis on adulthood than anything else, and so you take that for however you mean it. I really like the art too in the Korean manga. I almost want to just make a separate video, but I can't. I don't not too experienced in it. Um, Especially because Korean manga, I don't think, maybe, I don't know, has a lot of anime. There are like Korean companies that work with so many different media companies and other things of entertainment, but I don't know if there's like a soul. It's a pun because soul is, I think capital. Never mind, south. Excuse me, forget it. So there's not like a company of Korea that just produces anime that's so well known. I mean, there's a lot of Korean dramas, but I don't think there's. They really should make a. I think there's. I don't know what J-pop is. Honestly, I don't. I thought J-pop was like a group, like a band or something, like a singer group, and then maybe it's a kind of boy band, or maybe it's a genre of Korean pop music. I know I know it sounds like it would be obvious, but I don't know if it is. Really, I have to get into the J-pop. I mean, which I won't. I tried to a little bit, but because there's a girl that I was interested in, and I was getting music she was getting into, and just to relate to her. Anyways, Korean manga. But yeah, the Koreans, South Koreans, anyways, they do all right. I mean, for honestly, if only South Korea had been able to overcome North Korea, I think they would have taken a lot more strides than they do now. Like they're so limited by the amount of land and people that they have, and I think if they could have a little more, they would be somewhat similar to Japan's level of economy and structure and government and population. Sort of. I mean, not right where they are, but if Japan's an A, like on a grading system of perfect, which I don't know if Japan really is, but let's say this: the U.S. is A, Japan's in the B column, and Korea would be in the C column, which um, technically I think they're in the D column. I'm not saying like they're such a uh, third world country or something. It's just that they're countries with like let's say have 3 million of population, and they have land that would take up maybe half of a U.S. state like Florida, like, and they only have the resources available to produce only so many things. It's just they don't, like you can say a country is developed, and that's fine, but there are just some countries that are of a higher rating in it, and that's a whole nother video. But I mean, they're because they can only do so much. They cannot they can literally they're unable to even conceivably take over the world minus nuclear weapons. If we pretended for a second that nuclear weapons didn't exist, then um, that's what. Sorry, I'm just a floating head now. You'll barely Guess you barely see anything. Um, so yeah, what is it? um, just looking at myself, it's so I don't know. It's probably scary to some people. Um, so Korean manga, because I really got on top of manga for a second. Um, yeah, but I've read a lot of digital manga, and I've tried to read it in print too. And honestly, in a way, it feels like a difference. Feels like a fact of accomplishment. Sometimes reading a manga in print versus digital, but like it's like you read this thing in your hand versus online, where it's like I mean you just won't see that accomplishment, but I think that the result is entirely the same. Um, so and manga is a lot more expensive, versus reading it online. I mean, I encourage anyone to, do what they can for the, books that they care about. Honestly, there's some books. There's a series called, for example, Hayake Butler. Um, I want to say give a better example than that, but that's probably the better well-known one because I had an English series, and I'm still gonna watch that. But it's like 50 episodes plus some sequels, and I don't know. It goes a little bit far. And then it has the manga, which is it's in like the 500, 300, 400 columns, something like that. And not to exaggerate its numbers, but 2, 300, 400. I know that's like a big jump of numbers, but it's somewhere one of those. And just the fact that it's not Nisekoi, it's not Clannad, it's not. There is mainstream like One Piece, Naruto, Inuyasha, and then you go down. There's Clannad, there's Death Note. No, well, okay, well, Death Note would probably be back up there with it. But there's Clannad, there's Future Diary, there's just It's like a level list of you know the that that are pop. The point being, and then Kayate Butler will be like, the fourth level or fifth level, maybe in the sixth level. It's just the point is you support if there's enough support for a manga, it will continue. Detective or an anime, it will continue. Detective Conan, I think, a detective. You have to know the series I'm talking about. It's like a kid detective, and he's got glasses. And don't hate me for not knowing it, but I wish that anime would die. Like it just, it's so long. It's gone on. I think it's got like 700 episodes. Like I will say this because I'm not a fan. Because I'm not a fan, I probably would say that. Like I bet there are some people who wish the Pokemon. I'm a big fan of the Pokemon anime. I wish that would continue. Trying to stick on the top of manga. Despite how long the Pokemon anime is, like I'm fine. I'm not even sure how long I'd like to keep it going for, but the hero Ash Ketchum, I believe in him. Speaking about manga, trying to again, anyways. There's a Pokemon manga. There's a manga for a lot of things, and I think manga gives you. And I wish I had been able to speak more about this, but I'm running out of time. But manga gives you an opportunity to continue to learn of the world, the characters, continue the story, and this adventure that you're on in the manga. Like a lot of manga give you the ability to do that because the anime is like 12, 24 episodes long, and the manga is like 200, 100. Even if it's just 5 chapters, you get to finish this out. You get to continue a little more. You get to like it's really I was against doing anything like that, and I think Ketchue made some, which is my favorite anime, more or less changed my mind. I think it was that manga. And like there's a series called Rave Master, or was a Rave series called Rave Master, and that's like 200, 300 chapters or whatever. And the anime was only up to only episode 50. I don't know what chapter that really ends on, but I was just so sad to see it go, and it was just and there are just a lot of manga that give you the opportunity to continue. And so, I urge anyone to read a manga because of, just the opportunity to just keep going and to get kind of even sometimes an insight that the manga didn't give you. Right. Bye. See you.